What is it? Alright.
So we have a third game here, and the opponent is Undead. The map is Turtle Rock.
What is it?
This game was played on Battle.net, so probably the opponent isn't as skilled as you would see on my NetEase videos. But I think at the moment I'm like 6-0 or something, so it shouldn't be that bad. On Turtle Rock, when you play Undead, there's usually two main differences. It's if you're close spawn or if you're not close spawn or cross spawn. So if you're close spawn, it makes expanding much harder, which I believe is the go-to strategy for human. Because if you don't expand, it's basically a big disadvantage for human versus undead. In close spawns, it makes it much harder because the only spawn camp you could realistically creep is the one in the middle with the turtles. That one is significantly harder than the natural expo. You could play single base in those scenarios, I think that's something you're forced to do on this map. But if you're not close spawn, then I think creeping the natural expo with defend is your best choice there. Even if he does get to scout you when you creep, it's not the end of the world, because the amount of damage the creeps can do to your defend footmen are very limited if you micro them correctly. So you can still use up some of your firepower, for example your archmage and maybe some militia, on their skeletons or their death knight, which makes the anti-creepjack much easier. So as you can see, I'm sending out my first footman to scout, and as I don't see him at my close spawn, which is great, so by default I will be preparing to creep the close spawn once it hits night and once I have defend. So once I see that it's not close spawn, I creep the green camp in front instead of the orange camp. The reason being is I want my second camp to be at the green camp in front of the expo instead of in front of my base, so I can always choose to expand with a much higher pace than if I was at my own base. I see the Death Knight coming to harass right now, and I see his spawn is the farthest away. At the moment I'm like not in a real rush to get to level 2 since I don't have defend, and I need a bit more time to get enough lumber for my expo. So usually you would have like at least 6 or 7 peasants to creep your natural expo with you, and you still need a few more to get enough lumber for towers and shit. So at the moment, just delay and wait till the good timings. You can see it in the footage right now. I'm lagging, but it's pretty typical for me. So the thing about this green camp is the turtles are designed to attack whoever is running away. So if his Death Knight gets close, just attack his Death Knight and the creeps will help you. I'm not very keen on getting this level 4 creep. I just want to be able to get to the natural expo when my militia arrive. So at the moment I'm just hitting his DK. It's fine if I lose this turtle as I do right now, but you see I made sure that my footmen tank the damage from the expo, and my militia try to finish the trolls before everything else. I think his DK lost vision on my army because he was low and my archmage was still in his sight, but I managed to creep out the expo without him even noticing. Usually for more skilled players, I don't think that would happen. They would still be able to scout you and cause some damage, but with defend it makes it a lot easier.
Well, yes, my lord.
You require my assistance?
Orders?
I can hardly wait.
So right now I'm still a bit worried that he's close to my expo and going for a skeleton harass, so I keep my footmen at my expo and
What do you need?
I move to the shop to get a staff of teleportation or boots. In this case I don't have enough gold for boots, so I just buy staff in case he actually is close to my base. which I think is unlikely given that there aren't many creep spots, but I still have the stuff and teleportation to teleport back if I need to.
Well,
So I'm just looking for where he is, and I see that he is actually creeping this green spot. So I can actually move my footman away from my expo now, since it's not really in danger. So my expo finishes really quickly. I didn't lose any peasants in the way. He gets to level 2, no big deal. So at the moment I look for signs that he's going to go fast destroyers or if he's going to stay at tier 2. If he goes fast destroyers, what I do right now is to get enough towers so I can defend his destroyers and then get my tech. So the tech isn't that important if he is going for destroyers. The towers are more important then. But if he is staying on tier 2, it's either he would go meat wagons or he would expand. In that case, I think getting your tech early is a big deal there, because your main way of defending against a tier 2 meat wagon push is for spellbreakers instead of footmen, because footmen really don't stand a chance against statues and lich and enough fiends. So I do scout his that he's going tier 3, so I decide to go mass towers, which is at the moment he creep shacks me. It's no big deal. I think it's a 50-50 fight, him having the advantage because he has 2 Novas once his Lich come out, but once I like tank down the Nova damage, I'm okay. I get a good surround on his DK, so I force his TP out. Usually it's hard to actually kill anything here from a human's perspective, but if I get his TP out, then I think losing 3 or 4 footmen would be totally acceptable for me. It just delays his push a bit more and delays his level 3 Death Knight, because that's his main source of healing for his destroyers later on. I keep on building a good base so that his fiends cannot attack towers inside, and just build enough towers inside right now. I don't see much point of going towards his base because he's at home. It would be very helpful if he isn't, but I know that he just TP'd. There's no point of me actually going for his base. So I just creep here, get all my upgrades, make sure I have enough peasants on getting enough lumber. The Rune of the Watcher here is pretty good. I have a sight of him attacking my expo. Level 4 Archmage, which is nice. The thing about Total Rock is almost like enough creeps that you don't even need to worry about like wasting your creeps on your Archmage. Like unlike Echo Isles, where you have to try to get his creeps instead of yours because the amount of creeps is very limited. On these Total Rock games or Twisted Meadow games where there's big maps and more creeps, I tend to go tanks, because tanks can buy you time for your Paladin and Mountain King to creep to level 3. And once you have a level 3 Paladin, Mountain King, and enough like gold, you basically can beat one base Undead without much trouble. So I do see him going destroyers because of the slaughterhouse here. So usually the rule of thumb is the more towers the better, especially against like 2 slaughterhouses, which I scout here. By delaying the shop, if I did it like 10 to 15 seconds ago, it would be even better because it delays the destroyer upgrade. At the timing right now, it still prevents him from being able to build more statues. He made a mistake here where he flew 2 of his destroyers without actually siphoning the mana, but it's not really a big deal. He's not really close to my base. It would be a big sign that he's about to push if he gets more than 2 destroyers from his statues. In that case, I would just assemble all of my peasants at my expo or my main base and get ready to repair the towers. So my Mountain King should be out soon. I don't think there's
Yes, me lord.
much point of me harassing him, because I only have footmen.
More work?
What
is
he
it?
could do to
Yes, me
counter my
lord.
harass is just leave 1 destroyers at his own base, and I wouldn't be able to do anything about
What
it.
is it? Job's done.
So creeping right now would be fine.
What is it? Yes, me lord.
Even if he creepjacks you, it's the time he takes to creepjack you is still wasted. This is the time that he should be creeping. So what I do right now is just creep. If he creepjacks me, then fine.
Well,
And if I can get like a level 3 MK pretty easily, then it's a big advantage for me. I think as of right now, he hasn't done any damage to my base yet, and I have a massive advantage over him. I'm getting the tank upgrades. I got a Mountain King, and my guess is like, since he hasn't attacked my base yet,
Job's done.
more likely than not he's going to expand himself.
Off I go then.
research what is it now? Fine. Whatever.
Move it.
Well, get on with it.
Getting invul potions is always important because
Well,
Coil Nova, usually he has level 3 Lich by the time you have a Paladin out, or even right now it's totally likely for him to have a level 3 Lich if he's pretty efficient with his creeping. I scout his Expo and deny it. His army isn't around, so
Okay.
free kill for me.
well,
I use my
fine.
my copters to scout around the main choke points and just to see what he's doing.
Forces are under attack.
And usually when you have tanks out, it buys you time to get your second expo.
You require my assistance? Well,
Give me some good. Out of the way, please. Brilliant.
As you can see, I'm lagging right now, but I'm kind of used to it now. So tier 3 finishes, I get tanks,
Yes, me lord.
I get knights as well. It's just to increase the creep speed.
Perfect.
And I send out my copter to scout if he has any
require my assistance?
Wait till you see me in
ideas of expanding here.
Get on.
Orders. Give me some food.
What is it now?
To back. More work.
Get on.
Wait till you see me in action.
What?
Yes, my liege.
So I want my MK to take all the experience, so I leave my Archmage out of the
Wait till you see
creep,
me in action.
and I could buy healing scrolls and staffs,
You require my
all the good stuff.
fine.
I live to serve.
Now Paladin is out and my first 2 tanks are out, so this is the best timing for me to get my second expo.
Whatever.
Wait till you see me in action.
Fine. Well,
What would you
you
ask?
require my assistance? Get
So I
on.
scout his expo again.
What is it now?
My tanks can buy me time to creep my Paladin and Mountain King, and I could just send some water elementals or tanks to
What is it?
take down his not finished haunted gold mine. There's nothing you can do about it since you cannot actually repair it.
What is it? All right. What? Off I go then. Forces are under attack.
And this is when I send out my militia.
Well, whatever.
More word. What do you need?
You require?
At this point, my footmen are basically just
Get on with it.
useless, and I could just deny them.
What?
Pretty standard to do that, since they're worthless against destroyers, and you could have a better allocation of your food. But right now, I'm not even close to 80 food, so it's totally fine to have them. Just increases my
Fine.
creep speed, and like even if they die to creeps, I'm totally happy with that.
Our forces are under attack.
Require my
So I get more involves, the more the better.
Job's done. I can't build that. What is it? What? Yes, me lord.
Yes, me lord.
Research
Job's
complete.
done. All right.
You require my assistance?
What would you ask of me?
Get
Give
on
me
with
something to do. Move it.
it. What is it now?
On my way.
You require my assistance?
And you can see he's busy with dealing with my tanks. There's nothing he can do about my towers.
Aye. Out of my
What
way.
skillful players would do is they could leave their destroyers with your army or scouting your expo,
Get on.
and that way they could defend your tanks at the same time of actually
Job's done. Work.
preventing you to get your second expo.
Yes, me
But
lord.
that requires good scouting,
You require
so I can
my
deny his
Hmm?
expo the second time,
Agreed. Aye. And me.
You require my
and he's just trying to chase down my army. I can just TP anytime here.
Yes, my lord. And me.
I can hardly wait.
What is it?
More lumber is
All
required.
work.
You require my assistance?
Where to?
Well,
What? All work.
More gold is required.
what is it now? Fine.
What would you
Upgrade complete.
You require my assistance?
Upgrade. Aye. Give me something to do.
Get on.
Out of my way. Move it.
What is
Our
it?
forces are
Yes,
under
me
attack.
lord. All right.
What is it now?
Research.
I am not afraid. Well,
Wait till you see me in action.
you require
At
my
your call.
assistance?
More gold.
What would you ask of me?
Well,
I am not.
I think there was a slight misplay from me. I could have gotten level 3 Paladin if I didn't pull my heroes too close, but
you require my assistance?
I think it's almost like game over for him.
What is it now?
There's nothing he could do about my army. I could fight him right now and have my tanks attacking his base, and there's nothing he could do about it, or I could expand even more.
Yes, me
It's just gonna make the game longer, but
You require my
I don't see any
Let me face
means of him winning here.
Well, get on with it.
What would you ask?
You require my
Aye.
assistance?
I am not.
Well, get on. Well,
Give me something to do.
well,
Our town is under siege.
Job's done.
And he made a mistake of leaving some of his army at my expo when he TP'd,
Our forces are under
What is
attack.
it?
Research complete.
Job's done.
but my army wasn't close enough to capitalize on that.
what is it now?
Ready to work.
Well,
Now it's pretty much game over. Like, this is my final push.
require my assistance?
I could just kill his fiends while he has to defend my
At your call.
tanks as well.
Forces are under attack.
You require my Well,
You can see he's wasted like at least like 1500 gold on his expo, and it hasn't even bought him 10 gold yet. And I still have plenty of leftover money for my third expo if I ever needed it. I don't think I do, so I just push.
Let me face the peril.
get on with it.
It shall be done.
Well,
Research complete.
get on.
Our gold mine is running low.
What is it? Yes, me lord.
You require my assistance? I can hardly wait.
We have lifter.
Well,
We have lifter.
Job's done.
you require
Give
my
me something to
assistance?
do. Aye.
Well,
At your call.
for glory!
So now I just focus fire his Lich. I notice his DK is too far away, which is a misplay by him. So I focus fire the Lich, I get a kill. I wanted to staff the knight instead of the footman, but I misclicked. There's nothing you could do about me just sniping his fiends and then just running away. And my tanks are at his base, so I can take down his black citadel,
What is it now?
All work.
Research complete.
and I got rid of my useless footman.
Well,
I could transfer all of my food into like tanks and knights, and his expo is still not up. His base is almost about to
Okay.
be demolished by my 2 tanks.
Yes, me lord.
Now I'm just getting gyros for destroyers. And at this point, I got it's either a lag hack or whatever, a drop hack, or my internet being shit. But I disconnect here. But basically, game is over here.